Thank you, Samir sir. It's a lot. Actually, I would like to have that disclosed. Several things are disclosed. What successful teachers do, it's not me, it's you. Because you are a successful teacher, and then I have collected what the successful teachers do actually, and I will talk about what I do, unsuccessful. Perhaps like Balramji said, failures, we learn from failures, not from the successes, right? So, as I told you earlier, during my 46 years plus, teaching started from the school level as a head teacher, I have a lot of story to tell you. Because, it was a fancy perhaps to go to school. When I was a student, there was no school building. We studied under the shade of the tree. When I became teacher, head teacher, we also taught under the shade of the tree. You cannot imagine when we had the conferences like in such a fancy building and fancy room. So that was where I started my schooling. That was where I started my teaching career. But I learned 3 things in my life. You will ask me, what do you love? Your wife? Your children? No. So I quoted from Scott Hayden. Teachers love 3 things. They love learning, they love learners, and they put together, and they love learning and learners. That's all. And therefore, sometimes my wife says, this laptop is my step. Your second wife. Why? Because I'm with the laptop for about 18 hours. And these days I've got much privilege to be with the laptop because I'm a retired teacher. I have nowhere to go. And if I go, this is the kind of forum where the people ask me to come and speak. And the retired teachers speak a lot. So therefore I ask Sabanji, don't curtail my time because I love to speak for 3 hours, 4 hours and 6 hours. This is what I learned from Professor Isra Sharma. He also keeps on talking for hours because, after retirement, nobody comes to you. Either you have to speak to yourself or you have to speak to others who are very patient listeners. So it was sometimes in the 2005 or 6, one of my students who knew that I'm a good reader, he donated me, gifted me a book. This is the name of the book. This is the book. What the best college teachers do. I read this book several times because this book is based on the research done in the United States for 15 years. All the best teachers in the United States, particularly the college teachers, what they do. And I will share with you, as Balramji challenge that we have to share. So, I will share with you what the research findings are. For the 15 years research finding, all the best teachers of the United States of America. And the questions the teachers were asked, and the questions that showed the answer were these. What do they know about how we learn? How do they prepare to teach? What do they expect of their students? What do they conduct? How do they conduct class? How do they treat their students? How do they evaluate the students and themselves? These were the 6 basic questions the researcher made wanted to have the answers from all the successful teachers. Now, going to these questions, I will briefly tell you the answers. So, the teacher read a lot. The teacher do the research. You know, we teachers do research every second. And then we study. Whenever I teach a course to my students, I ask them, you don't have to buy the books. I will give you e-books, but you have to study 300 books for my course. This is what I've been doing. Those who are successful teachers, definitely they have read. I'm taking classes at Kathmandu University once a week. I take 3-hour class. There also I tell my students to read 300 books for a course. And they don't have to buy even a single book. I supply them. And if you want some of the books, you can email me, I can send you. You need to play with the computer. So the other thing is the interest. If you are not interested, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot trust the horse to drink the water. This is what happens in Nepal when you have the visitor from somewhere and then you introduce the visitor to the small kids and you will say, olive oil, dog. So we'll put the hand here and press the head of the child on the feet of the visitor. I have experience when I was observing a class, grade 2 class in Kalanki University's laboratory school. One monk came and then he taught how to greet the people. This is formally done. But in our classrooms in Nepal, we don't do that. Now the children would say, sir, good morning, but not in the Tarai. If you go to Tarai, still they touch the feet and say Guru Pranam, Sir Pranam. But in Kathmandu, in urban areas, we have deteriorated this greeting system also. So this monk taught the second grade students how to greet. He said, all right, touching the heart, you greet your friends. Touching the nose, you greet your teacher. And then this is for the king and the queen and the Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha was born in Nepal, but is greeted in Thailand. So this is how formally the teaching goes for greeting also. So therefore, the important thing is how interested we are. Then, they prepare their lectures, they prepare their discussions, and then they prepare the problems that students are supposed to work in the groups and then present in the class. So this is the way they plan their relations. Remember that American teachers are the poorest teachers in the whole world, like us. Because they are low paid. Now in America there is a lack of teachers because teachers are leaving the jobs with the $25,000 or $300,000 dollars a month is not enough for them. So they get about $25,000 to $30,000 a year, which is not enough for them to support their life also. So everywhere we have the teachers who are the poor creature. Then they expect more from their students. In Nepal, what we do is we bless the students and say they don't be bigger than me. Always remain under my hand. But American teachers, they say, do more, be better than me, and action. Because whatever I'm teaching you will be useless when you go to the workforce. So therefore, it becomes obsolete, and therefore you have to learn more. So that's what the teachers expect of the students. Then they come into class, particularly they make the student raise the hand, question the teachers, think critically, be creative. Unlike our students who reproduce very low level of, if you talk about Bloom's taxonomy, which I will share with you, lower level, not higher level Bloom's taxonomy. We don't do that. So here, how they conduct, they bring the problems to the students to solve. When I was a student in American University, my professor never told me the answer to the problems that he gave to us. Even you telephone me at night or early in the morning, you would say, all right, you're on the right way, go ahead, that's all. So therefore, the professors, teachers, try to make the students much more independent. And then authentic tasks, the tasks that the students have to face in their workforce. Not the one that was done somewhere else. But tomorrow, expectation of tomorrow. If we're teaching business management, the teachers would give them the tasks that they will encounter when they go to the workforce. That's authentic kind of task. And then rethink also. Don't be reproducer. Don't be me, but think over it, rethink over it, and finally examine the reality. What is the reality? Not unreal ones. And then with the students, I still remember I used to open the window and then invited to my professor, Peter Hood, in the evening after the class, would say, Peter, would you like to have a glass of beer with me? He would say, Jay, I'm sorry, I have to go shopping, so how about tomorrow evening? But this kind of socialization does not have any effect on your grades. You have invited the professors and offered him drinks, the next day your grades will be B- or B. So the teachers are very open in the United States. And then, they look at the ambition, triumphs, frustration. Teachers are frustrated also. They are not always successful. So all these qualities are there, but the students may be frustrated. So the teacher's job is to help them out, to see them leading to the triumph, and then encourage, reflect. As Balramji, are you somewhere here? No, he spoke and left. I don't know. He's a philosopher, I think. So he talked about a little bit of reflection. I used to tell them, reflect. Say, question. Talk about failures. Talk about success. And so therefore the American teachers are very open to the students. Finally, evaluation. I taught to 30 semesters. I taught American students for 30 semesters. And I was evaluated by my students 30 times. So the last day of the semester, I would give them blue book that contains 16 pages, and they have to make my strategy. Everything. And the director will assess it and say, well, Dr. Awasthi, there's no point that we should continue, we should make you continue for the next semester because the evaluation done by the students is not encouraging. So you are always evaluated. We evaluate the students once a semester, once a week, or maybe once a month, but they evaluate every word they have to speak in the classroom. So therefore, the teachers have to evaluate himself, herself, and the students evaluate them, and then the teachers never blame the student. In Nepal, we blame the students. We blame the teachers, because your high school teachers didn't teach you. They didn't teach this also. Your, say, graduate teachers did not teach, or postgraduate teachers. We blame the teachers and a host of teachers, but no, they don't blame the students. They do not blame the junior teachers. Since they are the learners, they learn from the students. They are constant learners. So this is how they get evaluated. And finally, they are the co-learners. I remember when I was taking a course, that was Kurdish language of Kurdistan. Because as a PhD student, you have to demonstrate the working knowledge of 2 foreign languages. So I had 1 semester of French, Français, and 1 semester of Kurdish language. My professor knew French, so therefore he didn't sit with the people in the French class. But in the Kurdish language, there were 5 students, so he sat with us so that he also could learn Kurdish language along with us. So the teachers and students learn together. Bachelor's level, master's level and PhD students sit together. They study the same course. The difference is, bachelor's level student just sit in the examination, turning the paper. And the master's level, they have to add 1 more research paper. And a PhD student, 2 more research papers. So there's no harm. I mean, you study with the toddlers, you study with the, say, primary level students, you learn from them a lot. So we are co-learners. If you are learning from the students, that's a wonderful thing. And if you say, one of my teachers, when I was a principal of a college, I observed his classes 3 times because the students complained about his delivery. So I observed his classes, gave him suggestions. When on the 4th observation, he came to my office. यो 10 class पढेका फुच्चाले भनेको तपाईं मान्नुहुन्छ? ल म पढाउँदिन. Then he left the class, and then he had taught 3 days, and I asked him, why don't you take the salary of 3 days? And he said, no, this is the donation to the school. And I said, thank you, no problem, because you didn't teach anything at all. So this happens, So some teachers like that, and they think that they have a master's degree, first class master's degree, that's a passport, that's a visa to enter the class. No. When I was doing BA, second year, I was taught by Jindranath Thakral sir. He was 8th grade pass only. He taught English, special English, in BA final year. He was 8th grade pass only. And then when new education system plan was introduced, he was sent to the primary school nearby, and then he became so furious. Then he wrote an application to the head of the department of English, Kirtipur, to teach at the master's level, and then his qualification was 8th grade pass. And then Dr. Alan Davies, and then he was surprised, how come 8th grade pass student can teach to the 16th grade students? Then he interviewed him, and it was fantastic. Then he met the vice chancellor that he wanted to recruit this gentleman. The vice chancellor denied. Come on, how could we recruit the 16th grade people? So, genius. Degrees do not give anything. Your experience is far more better than your certificates. So, be always a learner. Now, this is what Benjamin Franklin said. And this is what all the teachers of the world follow. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. So, best teachers, excellent teachers, successful teachers in the world, they involve their students so that they learn. Why? That's what we call engaging. If we engage the students inside the classroom, if we engage the students out of the classroom, they learn a lot. So, why? Now look at the research has demonstrated that engaging students in the learning process increases their attention and focus, motivates them to practice higher level critical thinking skills, and promotes meaningful learning experiences. This is the main motto of University of Washington Seattle. Universities come up with that kind of motto that you have to engage the students so that they learn a lot. So why do we engage? For these things. Because once you engage the student, they retain the things that they have learned for a long period of time. Look at the conductor and the hotel boy, the servers. These people who have very short-term memory. If any conductor asks you to pay for the ticket twice, he doesn't have the conductor brain. They immediately know who has paid and who has not paid. But once you get off the bus, they don't remember you because they have to take care of other people. So is the case with the hotel boys and girls. They know how much you have eaten, what you have eaten, and how much you have to pay. And they have got short-term memory. They are quick in that and click. But for us, we need to have both short-term and long-term memory. We have to process the thing, whatever we listen to. And then after processing, what we do is, we take them at the back here for long-term memory, so that we could bring it forward and remember it. So therefore, for retention, it's very important that we involve ourselves and make our students get involved. And the second thing is, if they work, they develop positive attitude towards their work. That's the second thing. Third is, learning tasks, they could maintain time, and then they learn the tasks very quickly, and then develop the skill of these. Bloom's critical thinking, interacting, reading and writing, and then finally they develop concentration. So that's why once you ask them, all right, you've got, while teaching, if you set the time, they will be more concentrated because they see the value of time. And those who can concentrate time in their reading, they get good score in their TOEFL and IELTS examination because they require a lot of concentration of time. Now, Merriam-Webster says that there is a paradigm shift in education now. We have got complete change. The way we study, the way our teachers taught is completely changed. Now there has been a drastic change in the total education system. Now what are these changes? Because successful teachers know the changes coming. So you cannot say that, well, I studied 8 of Shakespeare drama and you have to study Shakespeare. Now if the student asks you, why should I study Shakespeare? Do you have an answer for that? Where do you speak Shakespeare's language? Who speaks Shakespeare now? No. So now if you look at the master's level courses of English department, there is no Shakespeare, for example. There is diversity, identity, environment, several things, but the media is English. English is the medium. So the first, paradigm shift is learner autonomy, which we have not practiced so far. We think that these learners are just a reproducer only. We have to teach them, they have to reproduce and finish. No. We have never made them accountable to their own learning. And the students here, what they say, solid courses of Awasthi. The course belongs to the student, not the teacher. It's not the teacher's course. Teacher is kitabin shabd nivase, course shabd nivase. The course book belongs to the students. We have never taught our students that this is your textbook, not mine. You have to read it, you have to finish it, I'm the facilitator only. And you are accountable. You are responsible to finish your course. We have never done that. So therefore, we have to make our learners responsible, accountable, independent learners. And this is the new paradigm that has come. So therefore, normally we used to have the, combined study. That was collaborative learning. Traditionally we said combined study, but now they call it collaborative learning or cooperative learning. And this was very successful. I still remember when I came from Darchula and came here, I did not know how to speak Nepali because I was taught by Indian teachers in Hindi. English was taught in Hindi, Nepali was taught in Hindi, so I was a very good Hindi speaker. I wrote a book on Hindi, the spoken Hindi for beginners, but I could not speak Nepali in class. So for 3 or 4 months, we 5 people used to go to Ratna Park in the evening, practice English, looking here and there, whether the people are looking at us or not. And then the 4 people were Neelkanth Preti, the former election commissioner, Bhojal Koprenji, former secretary and the election commissioner, and Kabir Shah and myself. We 4 people who practiced English at Ratna Park. If anybody spoke a word of Nepali during that period, he has to offer a piece of cucumber, costed 5 paisa then. So 20 paisa was a big money because with 5 paisa we could get a bunch of mustard and vegetable. That was the time. I'm talking about half a century ago in that. So therefore, this is collaborative study. This was collaborative paradigm self-group. So extensive reading and self-assessment. Let the student assess themselves. Let them realize that, well, I did not learn. American students always say, I want a return of every dollar I paid to the university. I did not learn. I came here to learn because tomorrow I have to use my learning. But our students say, I did not get A. I did not get A plus. They don't realize that they had not learned, therefore they didn't get letter A. So therefore, because we never made them independent learners. That's a very important paradigm shift in education, and our methodology, the thesis methodology, has to be like that. to make the students independent learners. Methodology. Now, we cannot import methodologies from West or East. We have forced methodology. Now, I remember the concept of forced methodology was introduced in the whole world by my own classmates. Kumar Baladivido at the University of Michigan, when we were doing our PhD courses, he was the one who finished PhD. Now he's a celebrated methodologist born in Madras and has been teaching for about 40 years in the United States. Now he's in his early 70s. He's become a world-renowned methodologist. Americans, Europeans have to study Kumar. So we have got such a bridge. We are giving to the West, but borrowing, flying the methodology from West and then bringing them to our classroom, which do not work. So therefore, what works then? The thing that works is our own context. Who are the best methodologists? Our own teachers. You are the best methodologists. You know your students. You know their learning style. You know how they learn. You know their diverse, say, cultural background. So you are the best methodologist. Your classroom is the best context, and you are the one to teach the student the best way. So therefore, this was the concept that came in the United States early 1995 and onward. Kumar has written 3 or 4 books on this. So if you want Kumar's books, I can send you through email. So he is the best methodologist. I still, if you look at the YouTube, you can listen to him because he has given a lot of lectures. Even 7 or 8 years ago, he did one key speech at Hyderabad. So you can listen to him. He's a wonderful methodologist. And then critical pedagogy. Now, we do not ask questions. I still remember a Chinese teacher is not here. My classmate was Chinese when I was doing MA at Michigan. So he used to talk at him, Jay, ask question, ask question. Jay, why do you ask questions? I said, we don't ask questions in China. Because asking questions to the teachers in China is insulting the teacher. But outside the classroom, definitely they can ask a lot of questions. So that's the culture. Say, Chen, you are in the United States, why don't you ask? He was from the University of Beijing, lecturer. So it took him 6 months to get tuned to American system, and then when he started asking questions, he made the life of American professors miserable. He used to ask such questions, the professors could not have answered. So therefore, this is what we call critical pedagogy. You know, you question what the professors or teachers say. And other thing is reflective teaching and action research. I overheard one teacher being asked a question, sir, how many years did you teach in Delta Conference? The teacher answered, I just overheard him say, this is the real speech of a teacher. 36 years I cheated the students. And then it struck to my mind and said, oh my God, I also cheated 1 year, 3 months. Only. Why? Because I did not have a master's degree. I had a master's, 2 master's degree, and my dean asked me to teach English because I was a student of literature. And then I had to teach the language and speech sounds, how the sounds are produced, which I was not trained in. So I cheated my students for 1 year and 3 months because I did not know how to produce all these fricative sounds. In order to help myself brush up these sounds, I took 5 courses of phonetics at Michigan with world-renowned professors like J.C. Kathmandu and others, how to produce the sounds, not only English sound, but all the sounds of all the languages of the world. This is how he trained us. So therefore, at one point of time, we cheat ourselves, be honest, but we do not have the courage enough to tell the student that, well, I don't know the answer to this question, maybe I will tell you tomorrow. We never say that. We'll ask our student, someone asks question and say, all right, do you have the answer to this question? Someone? We don't have. So therefore, go to the staff room and reflect. Today I got survived. How about tomorrow? You cannot cheat every day. So therefore, for that matter, this reflection is important for both students and the teachers let the students write their journal, how successful their day was. I always ask my grandson, how was the day, grandson, when he comes back from the school? He would say, bad, too bad. And why? Well, my teacher gave me bad remark today. What did you do? This. And how was the day today? Wonderful. I don't have homework today. If there's no homework, that's wonderful. Research on the problems that arise. I was teaching in a college, this was long back. One student showed me his bag, and I was looking outside the window. And I spoke very politely, I love to see your face, not your bag. And he said, and then I took off my coat and then said, you want to fight? I don't fight with a single person. Bring 15 people, I'll knock you down with my 2 years of army training. I knew that. You know, if he had come, he would have knocked me down. I knew that. But I was trying to test what language he understands. He didn't understand my first language. He turned himself, he understood my second language. So some of our students are like that. So therefore, you know, these are the critical incidents that you have to make a record of as a teacher. And then see how you handle those critical incidents. That is what we could do. I mean, we do the exhibition. We have to listen to our students. If any student comes up with a disruptive behavior in the class, please bring him to the office, offer him a cup of tea, and then listen to him. We teachers do not listen to Samir sir is here. We had one DI. Normally schools do have DIs. Terrifying people. And then this DI had 2 master's degree, history and political science, and then he used to have his colored glasses. There was one foreigner working as an advisor, and this fellow shouted at the gate, hey, you're tired! And then this lady, foreigner, comes to my office and says, Jay, I don't like that tinted glasses person because he doesn't speak human language. English speaker don't speak that language. So this is again reflection. So I did an actual research on the student. He changed almost all the time. What was her problem? Why is she being changed by the DI all the time with a rough language, inhuman language? So I could come out with the solution. I will show you a small, say, research that I carried out also early in the morning for half an hour. If Sagun gives me time later on at the end, not now. Then cooperative and a collaborative learning. For example, I said combined study. Sometimes we make the student in charge of their learning and they work in the group and then do the work. And sometimes the teacher becomes a part of the group work. Normally, if you see the NETA conferences where we have got a group work, normally the presenter sits with the groups and then listens to them and then talks to them, shares his experiences. So this kind of activities in the classroom helps. So in the developed countries, there are always group works in the class, whether the class consists of 50 students, 60 students, but they have the group work, collaborative work, because there's interaction, there's interdependence, they depend upon each other, they disagree also politely. I think you were right, but I have a different opinion. But in Nepal, we immediately, aggressively revolt what the students say. Yeah, you may be right, but I would have said it a different way, like this. Why don't you disagree politely? We do not have that habit of disagreeing politely also. And then we give examples so that we learn from each other. Now, this is very important, curriculum integration. Now in Nepal, I don't know whether you have heard it or some schools in Nepal, they are integrating curriculum, primary level curriculum. For example, this teachers of like math, science, social studies and English working together for a project called water pollution. English teachers help to write the reports. Math teachers make the calculation. And then science and social science teachers help the impact of pollution. And then science teachers talk about what pollution itself is. So this kind of integration of the subject is working. Last week we had one MPhil thesis at Kathmandu University. A lady worked on integrated curriculum at the primary level. Now Nepal government wants to introduce integrated curriculum where all the teachers share the knowledge and then sit together with the students and do the project work. So this is kind of project work, or this is from home to far, because we in Nepal what we do is we say this is hand, and that and sort of thing. We start from the part and go to the whole, and it's the whole body as a man. But in other parts of the world, we start with the man. I'm a man, then only head and legs come. So whole to part. That's being practiced now. Meaning, a parrot can produce whatever you teach a parrot. Parrot may say chorai to its owner also, because doesn't know the meaning. In Nepal, what we do is we do not talk about the meaning, what it means. And it's so easy for me also. I can read books on physics very easily, quickly, without understanding. Right? So, being a research committee member at Kathmandu University, I have to read MPhil and PhD theses. Some of them I understand, some of them I don't. If I don't understand, also I have to ask questions because I'm a research committee member. So what I do is, then I concentrate myself on language. Being a language teacher, I would say, well, you don't have good language, do this and that, polish that and that, content is none of my business. So therefore, meaning, the most important thing is one size doesn't fit all. So, keeping in view our own physics, we have to go to the tailor and then give our measurement. So therefore, one methodology doesn't fit everyone. So therefore, one size does not fit all. Therefore, we ask our students to journal writing. As I said, they are a fraction. Teacher journal writing. If you keep on writing, like Indra studies here, he's a proliferated writer. Balramji has gone, he's a writer, very good writer. So these people can write a lot on a very small, tiny thing also. This is their quality. So therefore he can, in his plenary, panel discussion, he will talk about how to be a good writer also. We all have to be good writers. And then writing with meaning. Without meaning we can write. And the other thing is sharing and interacting. That's a group work. That's another paradigm shift. Now remember that our classes are very diverse. We have to honor the diversity that exists in the classroom. My colleague, Professor Dr. Naval Kishore Raiji, and I were training the primary school teachers in Thakani of Sindhu parts of district. There was only one Tamang teacher. He said, Sar Ayana, Ghar Gayana. Why he says Sar and Ghar, not Sir and Ghar? And we did a research there. And later on we came to know that the Mang language doesn't recognition all sounds, so they use R sound. So if the teacher of Nepali teaches the Tamang child in the classroom that you say Sar, not Sir, that's unfair. So therefore we have to know the linguistic diversity, cultural diversity, social diversity, religious diversity, sex, achievement and learning style, because one student may have one learning style, the others may not have. For example, if you ask me, I'm a visual learner. If you ask me to listen to, I can listen to you for 3 minutes, then my mind gets distracted, and then I may not know what you are talking to. So I'm a better visual learner. So if you give me the visual stick and whatever you are talking about, I can learn better. And some people are audio learners. They learn a lot by listening on. Some people learn by touching. So there are different styles of learning. And some people are good at all, very rarely. And some people, for example, visually impaired people, they have the finger reading. The people who have hearing problems, they have lip reading habits. And those who got eyes, you have the visual reading Some people are very good at listening. So therefore, we have to learn that. In the Western, if you go to the school, because my postdoc research was in the classroom, American classroom, elementary, secondary classroom, where I observed hundreds and hundreds of the classrooms, how the teachers teach English as a second language, and what material they use. What I found is, in every semester, the school student will have hearing and eye checkup. Many of the disruption in the classroom takes place because of the hearing problem. The student cannot hear the teacher. They cannot see the things being projected. So therefore, they become disrupted. So therefore, this is obligatory that we have to have a hearing and eye checkup in the school in every 6. That's disruption. So therefore, we have to see the learning style. We have to see the achievement level also. Because everybody cannot have A's. But everybody can have A's. Once you identify their learning styles and then use them, they can have that. Second, differentiated instruction. We cannot teach with the same methodology, same technique to all the students in the class, and this is challenge. Because we have to use differentiated teaching, means we do not have to use different methodology and techniques, but we have to use different methods, different tasks. Some students need simple tasks, some people need difficult tasks also. So that's what we call self-pacing. The student can have their own pace depending upon their ability, achievement level. And therefore we have to understand, so diversity, who the students are, what they teach and where they teach and how they teach. So all these things make you a successful teacher as a person who can identify the differentiated thinking skill. As I told you earlier, Bloom's high level thinking. This is what we are supposed to teach ourselves. Most of the time we are in the lower level, say thinking skill. For example, look at this chart. Oh, it's not visible, but the big words are visible. Most of the time we make the student remember. We make them understand. And then very hardly we ask them to apply. But here, analyze, this is a higher level. And then evaluate and create. If the students can evaluate what other people have said, what they have written or done, or what they have analyzed, so this higher level, these higher level skills are not very much, say, taken care of by us. So therefore we have to take care of all these things. Then technological blending. I will not talk much about it because Sagunji is an expert in ICT. His master's degree was ICT blended English language teaching, so he will be sharing with you. Why I'm saying this is, the first television I saw was while I had a night stopover in Hong Kong. We didn't have television in Nepal when I was heading to the United States to study. So the first television set I saw in Hong Kong. And then the first computer, IBM, Macintosh and Apple I saw in Michigan because our teachers would not accept handwritten assignments, so we had to learn. So I took 29, say, non-credit hours for learning computers. But when I came back, there was we had Nepal television started, but computers I have to unlearn them. But when the computer came to Nepal, then I had to learn from with my daughter. So therefore, now without, say, technology, you cannot enter the classroom. When I became Vice Chancellor, I announced that, well, without a laptop, without a multimedia, no one will be my university teachers. And the people in Far West made fun of me. Laptop the Vice Chancellor, they started saying that. But I wanted to take it very seriously. And the next day, I called 32 permanent teachers to my office saying, I will give you a laptop. You just give me 10,000 rupees. You can get a laptop in 10,000 rupees. If you don't have 10,000 rupees right now, you can pay on installment basis. You can have the laptop tomorrow from my office, learning and use it in the classroom. They became happy when they were supposed to get a laptop worth 60,000 rupees in 10,000. So from the next day, they started carrying the laptop, a new scene, and the juniors were not permanent. They also started buying it. I installed about 5, say, multimedia to them, taught them how to use them, and then finally all these teachers started multimedia. And then I set up, say, 150 computers in a computer lab, and then they started going to the computer. Now they are different. So therefore, as I told you, we studied in a time when there were no computers, there was no internet, nothing at all. Now we cannot survive with it. Everybody has the cell phone in his or her pocket. And then we do not allow the students to bring the cell phone to our schools. But in China, 85% of high school students do their homework through cell phones. In Japan, 81% of the Japanese high school students love to have the homework through cell phones. Because they have the flexibility. They can sit anywhere, under the shade of the tree, outside, nearby the swimming pool, they can do the homework. So if we make the proper use of the Facebook also, which I do, I do not say that, wow, what a beautiful picture, nice picture, madam, no. I never make that kind of comment. What I do is, I post anything that strikes to me which is knowledgeable. Only I wish on the birthday, that's what I do. But otherwise, I share the books, I share some of the articles, and that's knowledgeable. So if we make our students read these things through Facebook, and then get the homework from the Facebook also, and then post their right on to it, Facebook, they will be encouraged to use Facebook for academic purposes. So therefore, we have emails. Now, if you look at the recent research done in the United States, it shows that American students study 3 hours a day. Then what do they do the rest of the time? They watch movie, they answer the emails, they sit on the Facebook, they eat, sleep, and then study 3 hours only. But if the days happen to be of 26 and a half hours, if the days happen to be 26 and a half hours, they study 3 hours means, how much they study? Half an hour? That's all. So this has been the misuse of the technology. So therefore, we have to seriously see that the technology should not be misused, but it should be used for academic purposes. Teacher develop. This is a new trend, and teacher as a learner, I don't say teacher develop, I say teacher learning. Because the teachers are learners, and the teachers have to learn. They are lifelong learners. Their learning stops the day they stop their breathing also. Before they are about to be taken to the Paspatina, they stop learning. Otherwise, they always learn. If you do not learn, if you do not read, you develop dementia. You forget everything. Even you forget your friends. That's disease. So don't invite disease, rather than need. Okay? So therefore, workshops, seminars like this, and self-monitoring, you monitor yourself how much you are learning, how many books you have read. And then you may have the teacher support group like IHFL does have the support groups. You keep on writing what you do, reflecting on your own teaching. You observe others' classes and let other people observe your classes. And then you write the portfolios, write your success, write your failure, even include the nice paper that your students have written. Analyze the critical incident that take place, like one of my students who showed me his back. Such incidents take place every day. So write about them, and then take one case, why this tinted glasses person will change the earth. That's a case. Take that case and study it. And then peer coaching, help it, teach yourself, and 2 people teach together. And then you can have team teaching and actual research also. Any problem that you encounter in the classroom, you take that object and then do the action research for the immediate purpose. And this is how we develop, this is how we learn. Now, my trainers, Wright and Valito, and Tony Wright, who was a key speaker also some years back, when they trained me in Plymouth, that is the southern part of London, for a week, that was International Specialist Seminar. So they gave us the different classroom environment setting. One is take the classroom as greenhouse. If you take the classroom as greenhouse, what happens? You have the environment protected where you have the plant, and then you do the careful husbandry, and then teacher, you are a gardener, and the students are plants. So if this is the situation, if this is the classroom, what activities will you do? That's one. This is a greenhouse, you are a gardener, your students are the plant. How will you take care of the plants? You know when to water, when to give the fertilizer, and then light, photosynthesis. So there are several things that the activities that you have to do. The activities that are supposed to be done are discussion on environmental protection. It is not any subject specific. So this is done. Then instructing how to plant. And then vocabulary building also. The words that can be practiced through greenhouse. And then planning, how you plan the next garden house. That's one. I mean, think what you wanted to make your classroom look like. A garden, and then wrestling. I was ready to fight with the student. That's within the ring. So, but this fight is for knowledge. Everybody is fighting for knowledge in the classroom, within the ring. And then ideas fight for attention. Teacher is a referee, and then students are the audience. So look at the applause that the students come up with, and the referee has to control the audience. So you can give these activities. Then activities, sports commentary, interviewing, writing a sports journal, discussing the rules and regulations, and cheering up, how to cheer up. So these are the activities that can be done. Then if the classroom is marketplace, you think that this classroom is a marketplace, then you have a noisy classroom, and we say, don't make noise. No. I used to say make noise as much as you can. But your noise should be in English, and it should be meaningless. I should understand the noise that you have made. That should be meaningful, and that should be in English. So therefore, you are constraining themselves to fit in the ring as a teacher. Exchange of goods, teacher as a seller, and the students are buyer. So that's another setting, classroom setting where the teachers. Then the activities, the role plays. You can analyze the menu. In Nepal, whenever you take your friend to a restaurant, he or she doesn't know how to order, what to order. And then what do we say? I also say the same thing. When sir wanted to offer me tea or coffee, then I said, that's a Nepali temple. And I said, sir, anything. I should have said, sir, I would prefer coffee. I would prefer tea. But I did not know which one could be faster. So then I said, whatever is convenient, whatever is there. So this is what we do in the restaurant also. We don't know what will be the food like, what it contains, the amount, all these things. So therefore this is a good skill. Ordering the food. And then preparing a shopping list. Ladies are good at it because they know what is not there in the refrigerator or inside. They are very quick in reading also. Reading of the face of the person, reading of the text, reading of the list. Why? Because the retina movement of the girls is 1/16 times faster than the boys. You can check it. If you see a beautiful girl passing by, you keep on looking at her. But the girl would never look at you. Why? Because the girl had already seen you 1/16 times faster. And would not like to see that ugly face again and again. So she will be walking like this. So therefore, if you encourage the girl to read fast, definitely they can do. Otherwise, reading, normally we primary school teachers give a lot of loud reading aloud to the children, like the people sitting on the chautari and reading Mahabharata, Ramayana, Yakadin, Narada, Satyalok, Ugi Gaya, Loko Garu, Gitbani, Varnata, Hitiyara, Polya, Charana. One day Narada went to Satyalok, the people, Varna was standing there. If you do this kind of reading, if you follow this kind of reading, the children become tired after reading 1 or 2 pages. Okay? So therefore, no. Reading is just moving the eyes, not body, not fingering, not mouthing. Like the ladies, look at you people walking the street. So then talk about the quality also. Therefore, I never go with my wife shopping. So, see, but makes me tired of bargaining. So I said, you go yourself, no marketing. Then the temple, the classroom itself is temple. Someone please let me know the time. It's gone?
It's 10:45.
It's 10:45? Okay, thank you. So you will give me 5-10 more minutes. So you can make the student sit very peacefully. Classrooms are the place where they have to acquire the knowledge. So therefore they have to sit very peacefully for the ritual. Teacher is the priest and the students are the worshippers. Now the activities that will be giving are preaching, silent reading, sometimes reading aloud for pronunciation practice, and interaction on rituals, because these all rituals are learned by seeing. They are not instinct. Like the birds can make their nest by instinctively, but we have to learn by watching the things. Writing on religious practices, project work, and interviewing. Hospital. Classroom can be a hospital where you have a patient, teacher is a doctor, and the students are patient. Now the organization in the hospital, you have to teach them, and the activities are prescription, role play, cause and effect, and then case studies. These can be the activities. Finally, the teacher is free. Very nice way, you say to the students, and the students are a bird sitting all over, sitting on the branches, and then and animals which take shelter under the tree. So teacher is genius, a big person. Give shelter to everyone, shade to everyone. You have to be the big-hearted person. Now the activities could be project work on environment, collaboration between weak and smart students, counseling to troublesome students. So all these things can be given to the students. Now out of class, I have told you inside and outside of the class. So these are the researches done. Like when in 2015 find these activities outside the class, so the students love these activities. For example, listening to songs, watching films or TV shows, using translation or monolingual dictionaries, talking with friends in English, reading blogs, play video games in English, and writing posts on blogs, FBs, emos, and then messengers, reading radio readers, reading newspapers and news websites, listening to radio and audio books. So we have to design the activities based on their preferences, their interests. And then, last and find that reading can take place on internet because there is a blending, learning now, iPads and smartphones. My grandson, on his birthday, I telephoned from America about what do you want on your birthday. He said, I want iPad. And I bought that iPad. Now this iPad has been an instrument of struggle in the family because he's always with iPad. And his father always scolds him. Very bad sometimes. And then, the students love to do homework, in their home computers and do homework and social work, listen to music, watch English American movies, and the like. And the research participants of Kulan and then Pullman recorded short video clips, recorded their interaction on social talk, like discussion and the language talk, before they completed their collaborative writing. So they had the video clips and saw that students do a lot of collaborative work, combined study before they take up their writing work. And then Andrews says, give students video writing assignment outside home, give students group project work, and assign students research work, set up small group and tutorial session, and design laboratory and hands-on experiment outside the classroom so that they can work together. Now we need to have the teacher-parent partnership also, because whenever good teachers always have a parents meeting, so that the parents know the types of homeworks given, the types of work they have to see, improved academic achievement, classroom behavior of the children, and higher rates of work competition, increased participation in learning activities, and greater classroom attendance. This is very important once the teachers do have the parent-teacher meeting, and this happens in other parts of the world that they have a weekly parents meeting on Friday or maybe on Sunday. This is not visible, so I've already talked about these things. So these are the differences. Now I will share one small wishes that I did early in the morning with you. What to do? Then what I did is, in half an hour, I sent it to other people who were my friends on Facebook, to messengers, indiscriminately, whoever came. So what I did is, I sent the same thing. Look at this one. You have got Namaste, Namaskar, Nepali, Suprabhat, Sanskrit, good morning. You have got the beautiful, say, butterflies. You've got roses. You've got other flowers. You have got sunflowers. You've got hearts there. So several things are there. Now I wanted to see what will be the response of my students. That's what I wanted. What will be the possible reply? I will not ask you because of short of time. What I will do is the responses that I got from my students. And then this was half an hour only. I only recorded, say, half an hour responded only, who responded within half an hour. And then some of them replied in the evening also, I will show you. And some of them replied the next day also, because they didn't check up their messenger. So, but I took care of the people who responded in half an hour. So the messenger randomly went to 634 people. Out of them, 370 were male and 264 were female. And the responses within half an hour I got were 300, 170 and 122, all were 300. So 47.31% of the responses I got from my students. Now the responses. Total responses on images only. There was nothing written. Like one image only, 16. Monolingual English only, 163, because they didn't make the whole card. It had a lot of information. And then monolingual Nepal is 17, and then code mixing 114. Now what were the responses? U for you, short form. SR for sir, E for very, TK for thank you, N for and, TKS for thanks, SJR for Hazur, GD for good, TC for take care. Now this is a challenge now to the English teacher. After 10 years, you will have to teach this kind of English. You have to leave your degree somewhere in the box and get another degree of this kind of English in 10 years time. So that's a challenge. And the responses and their varieties. Thank you very much and same to you. Whether they are polite or not, you can easily see. Thank you, sir. Same goes to you, sir. May God cheer you up. Thank you so much, my respected Guru, and wish for your amazing and wonderful day. Namaskar, sir. You too have a wonderful day. More or less, they are workable. Here, greetings and extended messages. So they took the opportunity to talk to me. So instead of greeting, they also said some more thing like, thank you, sir. Wish you the same. The good vibes will certainly energize and make our days. Namaste, Uncle Ji. This is my daughter's, classmate in Boston. Namaste, Uncle Ji. Have a wonderful day today, too. And with Geeta, my daughter. She getting interviews and is happy. Can't wait for her birthday. Thank you very much, sir. I received it as a powerful blessing for the whole day, which is the same. So this is the variety of extended messages. Then opportunity. They were looking for me to talk to them, so they grabbed the opportunity. And this is the one. Sir, namaskar. Hope you are good. I am in Kathmandu now. I am here to attend the EC conference at JDS tomorrow and the day after. I want to see you, sir. Are you free in Sunday evening on the 21st Kartik? I will be free after 4:30. Thank you for your reply and see you soon. Good night. Sir, Mansip Daswati Diva Kardesu Sadha Nimantaran. So look at the opportunities we have Yes. Now reflection. Now my student remembered my class when I told them, thank you sir and same to you. I am creating a wonderful day sir. As you told us that we must not live on wishes but on deeds. Your words keep inspiring me. I used to tell the student, read, do. No one is here to bless you. Very few politicians are there. Very few politician students, very few politician teachers. But rest depend on their reading, their writing, their work. So therefore, your work will be recognized. Forget about running after the politicians. So this is what we remember. Then code mixing, two languages. Namaskar, Abdullahi Leo Tarpata. You too, good morning. Thank and lots of love you, sir. Thank you, sir. I hope सबै आराम होला. अब सर पनि पोलिटिक्समा लाग्नु पर्यो जस्तो लाग्छ. कसैको भर पर्न सक्दैन. So this fellow wanted me to go to politics at this age. Thank you so much, sir, and sorry for late reply. Good evening, sir. That's fantastic. And then beautiful, thank you, sir. Have a great day. We are in the evening and in T-shirt and Hanuman Kartu. So they are in the beaches in the United States, so it is summer season. Then monolingual Nepali. नमस्कार गुरुदेव सुप्रभात शुभ होस्. नमस्कार सर सुप्रभात जय होस् मङ्गल होस्. धन्यवाद भाइ. माफ पाऊँ मैले त आज मात्र हेरेँ दिदीलाई सम्झेकोमा. नमस्कार सर शुभ दिन. अचेल केमा बिजी हजुर. नमस्कार सुप्रभात आदरणीय गुरु. That's Nepal. Look at this one. भट्याउनु पनि एउटा सीमा हुन्छ यार. सिधै आफ्नो यस्तो हालत देखिदेखि पनि यो घर कत्रो दरबार कत्रो भन्छ. अहिले फेरि आगे उनकी जिस्क्याउन आयो. So I didn't mind it because you know the faculty had joke, so that it's okay. My student wanted to crack joke with me, and that's okay, and that's fine. Non-verbal, there's no language, but you can understand it. Monolingual images, English only. Monolingual images in English. Monolingual Nepali, or Sanskrit, whatever you say. Bilingual, Kihani, good morning, and hello, Satsai Unansa. And finally, the conclusions, shortened, abbreviated forms in text messages, varieties of responses, monolingual responses, responses through images, reflection in responses, code mixing, extended information, exploitation of the opportunity, and a contextualized information. I have not elaborated it. It could be a small paper. So what I suggest to you is, you know, you don't need money, a lot of money to do research. You don't need a lot of time also. With a small, say, thinking, you can do research on any small topic also. So therefore, teachers have to do research. It could be classroom research, it could be actual research, it could be anything like that. So therefore, I have learned from all these scholars. I have learned from all the students. I have learned from the children. I have learned from the elderly people. So a teacher is always a learner. Thank you, Sumanji and MRI, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to learn.